Yo, yo, yo. What's up, what's up? Welcome back. Today we're working on my terminal emulator. His name is Termi. We've been working on him for around a month now, and what we have is a terminal emulator. Simple, right? So we have like our shell is in here. This is bash running in the terminal emulator. I click some keys, some stuff happens. I can like type some stuff, backspace some stuff. We've been working to get stuff like line wrapping working correctly, and like clear, and like color, stuff like this. And what we're working on today is we are working on kind of fixing this bug here. So the expectation in this like program is when I resize this guy, the colon should be drawn at the bottom of the screen, right? If I open up like a different terminal emulator and I type git log, and I increase the font size a little bit, and I like resize this guy, you can see like the cursor and that colon are really like snapped to the bottom of the screen. I mean, on our terminal, in our terminal emulator, that's not happening. And to understand why, we need to kind of like explain what's going on under the hood a little bit. So, hold on a sec. If we just to like draw it out. So the way like what's happening here is we have like a input stream of data. And he's going to say something like, move cursor to position XY. And then he's going to say, like, I'm going to write some text. And then he's going to say, like, maybe I'm going to send, like, a carriage return and a new line. And then I'm, like, going to do all of this again, right? There's a lot of other stuff you can do, but, like, effectively, that's kind of what's happening. We get that data and we say, okay, well, that data needs to go somewhere, right? And so we kind of just, like, take that text and we put it in a one big-ass string. And what happens if he says like, hey, could we set like go hit carriage return new line, we'll like go here and we'll say, okay, well, here's a carriage return, so the carriage return goes back here. So we wrote like carriage return 1 2 3 4. What would happen is we would go like, okay, we're over here, and I'm gonna go back here to the beginning of the line because he said carriage return, and I'm gonna type 1 2 3 4, and that's gonna like overwrite what was previously in our little buffer. Cool. And then he puts a backslash in, and we like throw that at the end of the line. And so, like, that's gonna, if he writes more after that and he says, like, hello world, that's gonna, like, render into our string like this, hello world, and what that's gonna look like in 2D is it's gonna look like 1 2 3 4 ASDF hello world, right? And then say that, like, our wrap width is, like, a little bit shorter. We might end up looking like this, right? If we need to, like, wrap at the, because we hit the edge of the buffer or something. And so, where this gets a little complicated is, he has the ability to move the cursor to any arbitrary position. So if he wants to, like, go down here and say, like, smiley face, right? What we have to do to get there is we have to like put a new line in here twice and then write the smiley face so that the renderer knows like, oh shit, new line means go down. I go down to draw the smiley face. And what is ending up happening and causing that bug is that sometimes, like in this case here, a user typed a new line, like you hit the enter key and like the bash sent us, or less, whatever program is running sent us a new line, and that's semantically should be there. And so what's important to realize about that is if I start resizing this guy so he gets a little wider, this \n is like a marker that we don't want to like merge this hello world back into this line. That new line is like supposed to be there. Where like stuff that's wrapping because of this like hello world, it's like this \n is like not really supposed to be there. It's only there as like a mechanism for us to be able to put this smiley face in there. And so what happens is if after they do this, they put in those \n's and they try to like write some stuff in here, we don't know if it's like okay to overwrite this new line because it's like kind of not like a real part of the like terminal abstraction. And so it's like not really clear what we do. So we just don't overwrite it. And then it ends up being like an extra empty space. And so the program thinks that he's trying to write out a certain number of lines to get to like this like bottom thing to write his colon, and he's like misunderstood where it's actually showing in our terminal emulator because we have like extra new lines stuck around from previous things. So what we've done is we've essentially like we've started like remodeling this. Instead of storing our thing as like one long string, which was like kind of nice for some reasons, right? You can like display that as just like copying it out, pasting it into the GUI, and the GUI will just like do everything for you. We've now started modeling our internal buffer as like essentially a 2D, like just like an actual 2D array, right? So we have like boom, 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 boom. And we have like a per line abstraction that kind of lets us say like, okay, well, this line's actually only this long, and he's got like a new line associated with him. And this line is full width and he doesn't, and this line is full width and he does, and this line is like half width and he doesn't, right? It lets us like kind of like be more flexible with what we can do. And we've like started integrating that model, and we've been kind of like going through implementing all of the features that we used to support. And we've gotten like kind of close, but we're not quite there yet. So if I go in here and I look for, sorry, this is the wrong version. I want to go to whip. And we look for unimplements here. So there's like a couple features that we still have left to do. One is implement snapshotting, which is like we have like a recording system to let us reproduce bugs, and kind of like step through what the bug is line by line or like character by character, which really helps kind of like build an intuition about what the program is doing. And then this like resize function. Everything else is implemented except for color tracking. We have to fix the color tracking stuff as well. Because the color tracking code kind of, it relied on the fact that we had like one long string, and now we don't, so that needs to be adjusted as well. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do today, is we're going to try to like just finish this guy off and try to make sure that he works okay. At the end of last stream, we were kind of in a state where it wasn't working quite the way we thought it should, and I started just like kind of like porting unit tests from the old version to the new version and found a bunch of bugs and kind of like polished those off screen. So I think we can maybe show where we're at with this version right now. So you'll notice that like when I resize this like red box isn't moving, and that's because we're not propagating that like window size thing. But now when I go in here, you'll also notice that there's no colors, no bold, no nothing. But at least when I'm like scrolling around in here, it is kind of working somewhat as you'd expect, right? Up goes up, down goes down, and text is like reflowing, like it's handling like edge wrapping correctly. Nothing crazy. Yeah, so I think probably the first thing that we want to do is we want to implement the recording system, because that's going to make implementing the other stuff easier. And then we'll look at resize, and then we'll look at color. Easy peasy. Easy peasy. So we are at 7 minutes, 10 seconds, and we are looking at implementing recording. Okay, so the way this like recording system works is, actually we can just kind of open it. So I go in here and I like hit this button that says start recording. That's going to crash right now because it's unimplemented. But what that actually ends up doing usually is it like writes down kind of like the initial state of our terminal emulator. So we have like things like, oh, this is what the buffer looked like when we started. This is like the state of our parser. This is the state of like our format checker, and this is the state of our cursor. And then as data comes in, we just like write them down. We say like, okay, so we got some numbers coming in. And the tricky part here is this like initial state thing. This is kind of like internal details of every single part of the application. And so we kind of like let each like class, I don't know if I'm allowed to call them classes when we work in Rust, because the class keyword doesn't exist, but I think conceptually they're still classes, even though they're called structs. Each class kind of like knows about what internal details are important to him, which ones are stateful, like which ones are like related to like runtime of the program, and which ones are related to like actual like data that he needs to reload. So he's in charge of like taking his internal details and shoving them into like an intermediate representation that can be serialized as JSON, essentially. I guess technically he doesn't know that he's going to be serializing them as JSON. He just knows that he can create these snapshot items, which are very closely resemble a JSON tree. Yeah. So what we have to do is just to like look at what do our insides look like. What do our insides look like? And we have a scroll back, a visible buffer. So it looks like our snapshot will probably say that we have a map. If I remember correctly, we have what type resembles a structure best is like a string to item mapping. So we can just say we have like, you know, scroll back dot into turns it into a string, so to string. And this guy is going to map to a scroll back item, which is a snapshot item, sorry, which is an array. And this thing is going to have like the contents of the scroll back, I guess. Right, so that's straightforward. And I think we could clone this, probably. And then we can turn this into a scroll back item, snapshot item, map. Like this, and slap a little thing around this. We say, let ret is equal to this, ret, and then we also have to add in the other thing, which is the visible section. But let's just make sure first that this like works. So cargo check. Snapshot item array. He expected something, found something else, because this guy needs to type into here as well to do like an automatic conversion, I think. He doesn't like that. The trait from stood vacuate is not implemented for snapshot item. Oh, I think it's into iter collect is how we have to do this. I don't remember. There's so many like, there's like some like type conversion bullshit going on here. So item U8 from iterator U8 is not implemented for vex snapshot item. I swear we've done this before. Hold on. Let's look for usages of snapshot item array. Oh, maybe it gets, maybe the auto conversion is that we can collect things into snapshot item. Yeah, that's it. Hey, what keyboard do you use? I don't remember. I wonder if we can like ls usb. Nix shell dash p. Surely it's USB utils. Surely. And it is a Durgod Tarurus K320. I don't know why I bought this one. I don't remember. I don't know. I'm not really like too picky, to be honest. I think I wanted brown switches because for gaming I like the like tactile feedback of feeling exactly when it actuates, and I don't like the blues because they're too loud. But like in reality, it doesn't like fucking matter. Like I don't know. I maybe you know, some people are much more picky than me. At my last job, they offered to buy me whatever keyboard I wanted, and I just like picked the one up that I saw in the lab, and I was like, I will use this now, and I used that for a couple of years, and it didn't really bother me. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, but I understand that to some it does. Okay. So this guy, we've got the scroll back, and we just have to add also visible section. So this guy has visible to string, and he's going to be associated with, I guess, self visible buff snapshot, I guess. So it kind of makes sense for him to own like this, the visible buffer area to own his own snapshot encode. And so we just do the same fucking thing here. Function snapshot, which I guess goes here. And maybe for now we won't do any like error handling, just to make the types line up. Solid, and he has a bunch of stuff as well. I'm going to actually split out some constants for all of these keys, because I know that we're going to be loading and saving, and so like the serialization, it's nicer to have constants that I don't typo something. So we can say visible buffer keys, and he's gonna have like pub const buff is gonna be a string, and he's gonna equal buff, and we're just gonna do that for all of these guys. And probably there's some sort of like tricky macro bullshit we can do here, where we do like pub const this thing is now going to be a stir, and he's going to equal this thing. And we can go back here and uppercase this, and then go down to the next line, and we go boom, 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 boom. Oh, baby, I love it when it just works. Okay. So that means that when we serialize this guy now, he's just going to go through all of these guys. And he's going to do something with them, but I haven't really thought about what yet. I guess he's going to return some sort of snapshot item map again. And this guy's going to write into here, and then I'm going to put these guys in here and comment them out for a second just to make sure that the types line up here. They sure do. And I guess each of these guys is going to turn into a string. So we'll do something like delete some words, write to string here, put a comma. And then for now, we'll just put a placeholder in there. Okay. This guy didn't like that. I fucked up the macro, but it's like something like this guy to string. I don't know, something like this. Okay. And these guys all have to be prefixed with visible buffer keys. And maybe I just do use visible buffer keys star. I should have been doing this all the time. That makes this much, much simpler. And I guess maybe we'll say snapshot item bool false or something, just because I want to see. I just want to see it look okay. Snapshot item bool false. Types line up. We're chilling. Okay. Oopsies. Fuck. Where was I? I was in buffer. Hello? Where the fuck am I? Quit everything. Buffer. Here we go. And we were in snapshot of this guy, and we were fixing all these. So the buffer, that's simple. That's an array. I guess it's self buff iter collect. Does that compile? Sure does. Look at that. The length offset is just a usize, so this is just going to be self length offset into, I guess. And there's going to be self new line offset into. Yep. I guess he doesn't like. Maybe I don't implement from usize. I thought I did. Recording. Does he implement impl from int for? Oh, here I just write usize here. We don't implement from usize very intentionally because we don't actually store it as a usize. That's right. That's right. That's right. We get store it as an i64. So we actually have to say that the length offset is equal to an i64 equal to self length offset dot try into on wrap for now because I'm too lazy to write the error handling, but we will eventually have to stick these as, you know, what I would normally do here is I'd like write an error type that says like exactly, I like a unique error per failure, so I would like put a unique error in here that's like, oh, can't serialize length as an i64, and then you get the warning later. But, you know, sometimes you're lazy with it. And I mean, sometimes, I mean, every time on stream, because I think that, like, kind of, like, manipulating error handling code on stream is kind of, like, fucking boring. So, we do the same for width and height, I guess. Probably. Our width and height also. Width is also, yeah, everything's a usize. So, width, height, Okay. And then we say width into and height into. First line IDX. Again, it's all the same. It's all the same. Which, you know, makes you think maybe, Nick, maybe you should use some sort of code reuse. Like, what the fuck are we doing here, right? Why are we typing all this by hand instead of typing, like, derive serialize on the top? And it's just because, like, even though it's, like, a pain in the ass to write, and it's, like, a little bit more error-prone than, like, implementing serialize and deserialize by hand, sometimes I like to trade, like, difficulty for complexity, I guess, is the right wording there. Like, I don't think that this is, like, hard to understand, where when I try to use the, like, serialization frameworks, I struggle a little bit. And then you have, like, dependencies that, like, infect the whole code base and stuff, where this is just, like, this feels, like, simple to me. You know? Okay. Now we need to implement the same, like, the from version. So we go from a snapshot to our thing. So this is snapshot goes to terminal buffer 2. And he's just gonna kind of go do the inverse of this. So somewhere we have examples of this already, and it's like we have to like take the chunk of shit, and we say, hey, this guy should be a map, and if he's not, we bitch and whine and complain, and we'll fix the errors later again. We should be able to say that in this thing we have an array and a bunch of usizes. So we're going to say what? Root dot remove buff. I guess we're going to reuse all of these keys again. Root remove buff. And then we're going to say like as or into array. Do we not have an into array on this guy? Oh, because he's an option, right? So we unwrap this guy and we say into array, into vec, yes. Unwrap that, and we turn the vec into a box. I guess we can probably just write into, and we say let buff is a boxed slice of bytes, and he equals this. Does he really not like that? Oh, because this is not a buffer of U8s when we extract it from here. He's a buffer of snapshot items. So we have to like map item into item. Can we pull out? Can we pull out a U8 easily? Surely I've done this before. Into vec. Into bool, into nom. Into nom. Yes. Item into nom, and we put in U8 here, and then we unwrap. And then we collect. And we need to collect this guy as a vector first, and then we can turn him into a box slice after, I think. Cargo check. Cargo check. He's not an iterator, so we have to... Dude, what a fucking disaster of a line of code. Look at that. But that is right. Ew. Just disgusting. Disgusting. Oh, that's okay. It's fine. Let buff if box U8. So we can't like adjust it. And we'll just say buff into. Cool. And then we just do the same for, we have to extract usizes from all these. So we can say like let add as usize equal to something, which is going to take in some sort of key, and he's going to do something like root remove key unwrap, so that he's going to get the thing out as a snapshot item, and then we're going to have to say add into nom, and we're going to try to get a usize out of him. We'll unwrap that, and we return that. Easy. I think. And then we can say as usize, and just for all of these. Yes, we just do these. So we say something like QQ to record a macro, and we say let this thing equal as usize that thing. Cannot borrow as mutable, so you shove a little mute on here. And then we just return the thing. Just return the thing. Terminal buffer 2. And we just shove all this shit in here. Slap it in here. Boom, boom. Replace, what is it? It's find the colon, replace the line with that. There we go. Boom, boom. And he doesn't like that for some reason. Oh, because this is visible buffer. Oops. That's why. Alright. We're chilling. Looks like we're chilling. And we just have to implement the same thing for this guy. So he first of all, let's give him the same like key treatment. Mod terminal buffer keys is gonna be capitals, string, visible buff, pub const like this. Pub const scroll back is a string equal to scroll back. Yup. That's Ducky from Land Before Time. Yup. Land Before Time. This has been going through my head for like my entire life. Wow, they're all so long. Oh, here, this.
Yep, Petrie. You keep it safe.
Right here.
Yep.
That's been in my head my whole life, and so every time I hear it. Unimportant though. Sorry. From Snapshot, what are we doing? We are taking this thing and we're on this side where pub use terminal buffer keys, everything, and then here, instead of putting the keys manually, we say scroll back, and over here we say visible buff. And then on the load side, we say let visible buff is equal to something. I guess we need to get like the root as a map again. And so he's gonna be like root.remove visible buff unwrap, and he's going to say use terminal buffer keys, everything. Yup. And he now needs to be deserialized. We can say visible buffer from snapshot visible buff. Easy. And then we do the same thing for scroll back. So we say let scroll back is equal to root.remove scroll back. And this is a vec u8, so I think we're just chilling. So we say is the scroll back into vec. Easy. Unwrap again. And we return the thing. Okay. Terminal buffer 2 with a scroll back and a visible buff. Might work. Might not. He doesn't like this because, we can do the same fucking U8 conversion thing, which is kind of annoying. Have we done this anywhere else? Surely someone else we're serializing has a buffer of bytes. I guess like the old version of this code would have. So I guess we can do like git show origin master source terminal buff emulator buffer. And we can like, what the fuck did we do here? Set file type equals rust, and we can look for from snapshot. Surely we've done this. We did buff into iter map, which I think is what we did over here. It's just felt uglier. Buff into vec into iter map. Yeah, it was just in more steps. Okay, fine. Fine. So this is scroll back is equal to scroll back and this scroll back, not scroll back. Scroll back and a vec and iter. Yep. Okay. Maybe that works. I guess what we should also do is we should do a test buffer snapshot where we just do a quick like back and forth. So we like create a thing and we serialize them, deserialize them. This is wrong. Terminal buffer 2, we'll give him like a scroll back of like hello world into string or into a vector, and then we need to make like a visible buffer. So we're gonna say let visible buff is equal to visible buffer new with like a width and a height, and he's gonna be mutable, and we need to like edit him in some way. So maybe we'll just push a bunch of text to him. Visible buff push insert data. What are the APIs on this guy? Get all lines, push line. Oh, this is like a lower level API. So I guess it makes more sense to say let mute terminal buffer is equal to terminal buffer 2. We'll use his real API. because that will be easier. Width and height. And we'll say terminal buffer. Insert data, and we'll just shove in some shit. What is the API here? He's got a cursor position. So I guess we'll just start at like cursor, start somewhere. I don't know, it doesn't fucking matter. X5, Y5, 3. I don't know, sure. And then we insert some data, and we just have to make sure to insert like enough. So I guess maybe we'll make this even smaller. Maybe making him like, 5 by 3 or something. We'll make it so that we'll wrap very quickly and start pushing data into the scrollback. And what we'll insert is like hello world, ASDF, new line, wrap and stuff. And then we should be able to snapshot this guy. And we should be able to come back from the snapshot and insert the same. Which means this guy needs to say, I have a way to equal and partial equal myself. Probably just partial equal. I don't really remember the difference. And he probably needs debug as well, or else the test won't work, compile, if I remember correctly. If I remember correctly. This should say terminal buffer here. And test passes, and we can introduce a bug just to make sure that like the test is actually doing something. So here, what if we just say, we try to come from scrollback or something instead of visible buffer. Chillin'. And just, double checking again. What if we do something like width is equal to width minus 1? Just so that it looks like we fuck up in some way. Test fails. So it looks like we're chilling. Looks like we are chilling. And so we can test this now by like manually with our eyeballs and hands instead of just blindly trusting our unit test, which might have bugs. And we can do something like, let's maybe expand this a little bit, and we can say, git log and start a recording, and then go down, and then up, and then end the recording, and see, do we have a recording in there that looks kind of reasonable? So our new thing is this terminal buffer. He's got a visible buffer where we've got the first line set with new line offset buffer, and we've got like a buffer of shit. Cool. Yep, that's a long buffer. And he's got like offsets and heights and scrollbacks, and so I think we're kind of chilling. So now if we go over here and we try to load the recording, cargo, it's replay, recordings 9. We should see the same shit. So we see this like git log here, and then as we move forward, we see the things that we did happen, I guess. I don't really remember what I did. I think we pushed down and up a few times, and it looks like that's working. So I think we're chilling. I think we are chilling there. Cargo format. We run our linter script to make sure that we didn't do anything fucking stupid. He's going to complain about all of the unwraps we left around, which is reasonable. He should complain. And instead of fixing them, I will just say, shut up, linter. I don't care. And we'll just say git add -u and say commit -m implement recording on new buffer system. Cool. Easy peasy. And this will probably help, because I imagine that when we implement resize, this is going to be a little bit harder. Okay. Set win size on implemented. And so he says, here is where my cursor currently is, and here's the new width and height. Unwraps instead of expect. I do that on purpose. So I use expect when I think that it's a reasonable, like, real assertion that I, like, want to stay there. Like I actually think it's an error I can ignore. And then I use unwraps as a way to tell myself, like, I intend to do some error handling here, and I just don't fucking feel like it right now. And so then the linter bans unwraps, and then I can go back through and just, like, fix them one by one until the linter script passes, and I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to, like, grep around the code base for fix me's, and I don't have to remember to write them. I just, like, type unwrap and then deal with the consequences later. Where there are, like, instances of expect, they kind of, like, stay around the code base forever. you know, things like this where I like, oh, lock a lock and then it's poisoned. Yeah, that's like an expect. Okay, resizing. So I guess we need to like define what the desired behavior is. I don't know if like my desired behavior is the same as what it was before, or if it's the same as what other terminal emulators do. So like if we look at this, right, you can kind of see that like when the window gets really small in console, he like rewraps all lines, and he keeps the cursor kind of like at the bottom of the screen, or you know, in the case where there's not enough lines he kind of keeps them kind of aligned with where they were before. And I like he's kind of like evicting stuff from the scroll back and bringing it back into the visible section. I think I'd probably be okay with if I go down like make it small and then make it big again, for us to just kind of like get stuck at the top. I think I'd be okay with that. And that kind of would like simplify the implementation because I don't have to like go back into things that we've pushed into the scroll back and pull it back into the visible section, because those are like modeled separately in our code. So I think I'm okay with that. So we'll just say that we'll only reflow visible stuff. I wonder. So this guy's like clearly rewrapping. And we need to keep the cursor at the same position when we do this. So the same like semantic position, right? So what we did before in like our previous implementation was, since it was just like one long string, we would like mark where in the buffer the cursor was, do the resize, and then check where the cursor was, like where that same buffer position was now. I don't know if that's going to work anymore with our like buffer being a 2D grid. But I guess we can just like maybe start doing stuff. What the fuck? I think I just saw a bug in there, maybe? No, I don't know. What's this blue thing on the side here? What is that? What the fuck? Oh yeah, hey. They fucked up. What how did we manage to make that happen? Oh, interesting. So when they get smaller, that stuff just got like completely fucking purged. No, not completely. Only sometimes? I don't know. What they're doing is not perfect either. Okay. Whatever. So let's think about our width. Maybe what makes sense is to extract. We can just like extract the visible section as we would when we serialize. Spit it out into like a string, and then push that string back in. That seems pretty reasonable to me, because we already kind of support reflowing of like the scroll back area pretty like. I think that just comes for free with the way it's implemented right now, because the scroll back's still just one long string. And so if we just like say, hey, take all of the stuff, put it in the format that you would stick it into the scroll back with. Put it into the scroll back, then paste it back in, and then put any. Yeah, I think that'll work okay. That might just come for free. So you could do something like. I also have an issue with mine. The health status at the end gets janky. What health status? Like, you have your heart rate monitor hooked up to your terminal or something? I don't know what you like. You must have some sort of context that I'm missing, or I'm not understanding. I don't understand a lot of the time, so it's possibly that as well. Okay. We're going to take this visible buffer, and we're going to make a new one. Because the way that we've implemented this guy, he has like a boxed slice in here intentionally so that we can't like resize it and fuck stuff up. Like once the guy's constructed, he's like fixed is kind of like the way that we wanted to think about it. So if we're making a new one with a different size, we have to create a new one. And so we can say visible buffer, new. I have a health status for a good and bad execution. It says the time taken for the last command executed. I see. Yeah. And that's like sometimes getting like stuck in like a corner somewhere that it shouldn't be. Makes sense. Does this guy have a failure mode, or is he just success boy? Looks like he's a success boy. And so we can say, let's look at this guy. And maybe we will swap stood mem swap this and that. And so maybe we'll even get crazier. No, that's fine. That's fine. So maybe we'll call this old visible buff. I feel like there's like a Rust command that's like, let me inject a new thing in here automatically. Let me look at std mem, because I think that like I don't like the idea of calling this old visible buff when temporarily he's the new visible buff. I know that's like being like really like nitpicky on language, but it bothers me. It moves when inputting, sometimes gets eaten by long command inputs or overrides I just entered, so I can't see what I've written. Interesting. So some of that's probably like bash trying to reset the line, and then some of it's probably scroll like it reflowing would be my guess. Replace. Move source reference into dest. This is what I want. Stood mem replace. So I take the destination, I stick a new thing. Yes. So then we can get a little crazy. Stood mem replace this thing with visible buffer new width height. And then we call this the old thing. Yup. And we say old visible buff serialize. Nope. What is this guy? This is a visible buffer. Visible buffer. Does he not have a... Who is responsible for this? It's probably like not a... We're probably handling in the terminal buffer side. Serialize visible. And it seems like we shouldn't do this here. We should just do it as part of the actual guy. And then we can reuse that code. So here, if we have visible buffer serialize and he has the same thing, it's just anything where we said self visible buff, we can say self. And then we're chilling. So then we can delete this function, and wherever he's used, we say self visible buff serialize. Yep. Visible. Okay. So now we can serialize this guy. Old visible serialized. And then we should just be able to say self dot insert data old visible serialized. And anything that like doesn't fit will just like automatically get propagated into the scrollback, which is great. And I think we just say please insert this at like the beginning of time. I think. And now the only problem that we have is we don't know where the cursor should be. Which is kind of a problem. Definitely a problem. So I guess we have to split the old stuff. We need to like segment him on where the cursor is, I guess. Because when we insert data, it tells us where the cursor was, or where the cursor is now. So if we were to like split this string on the old cursor pause, we could insert the first half. It would tell us where that cursor is now, and then we just have to do the second half afterwards at that position. Which kind of means that this like serialized stuff, we might have to get a little bit, we might not be able to just reuse it. Okay, so what does he do? He iterates over lines. For each line, he says, like, if we, we do blah, 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 blah. And he's doing a bunch of, like, new line management to try to keep same API compatibility with what we did before. But I guess, like, we probably don't need to do that. We can probably get away with doing less here. So let's just try that and just see what happens. Okay. So we don't have, like, a return anymore. Width is going to be... this is going to be old width. Is going to be old visible buff width. Old line is going to be old visible buff gut all lines. Yep. I don't think we need to do this. And so we can go into the from 0 to the old height. So for line in old lines, we are going to like push that into the new stuff. So we can say all self insert data at some position, and we're going to put in line dot. What does serialize here do? Each line, when we serialize him, he just takes the data. Got it. Okay. Let position is equal to cursor position. He's going to start at the beginning of time, the beginning of the buffer. It's going to be mutable, and he's going to be updated every iteration here. Okay, straightforward so far. And then we just have to say if line, it has a new line in it, then we're also going to insert a new line. That seems pretty straightforward. And then we are going to say that the new cursor pause is equal to, the same 0, 0. And what we're going to do is we're going to say if I guess we're going to say old lines enumerate. Yep. We have the index and the line, and we're going to say if I is equal to cursor pause y, and we're going to put a fix me on here, and pause cursor pause naming is confusing. We're going to have to fix one of those. If I is equal to cursor pause y, then we have to segment it. So this is happy path. And otherwise, we say we insert data line serialize up to the x position. So this is going to be line serialized like this. This is going to be serialized up to cursor pause x. Yeah. And this is going to say new cursor pause is now equal to this, and pause equal to new cursor pause clone. No. We have to insert the back half of the line now as well. Yes. So this guy goes like this. So this guy now goes from cursor pause x onwards. And there needs to be some sort of out of bounds handling. But maybe it won't come up when we first try it, and then we just don't have to think about it. And so then we can just return terminal buffer set win size response. And changed is going to be, we have to check that. So if self-visible buff width is equal to width, and self-visible buff height is equal to height, we say nothing fucking happened. So change is false, insertion range is 0 to 0, and new cursor pause is the old cursor pause. Yep. And then in this case, change is true. Insertion range, right now we don't handle this, so we just say 0 to 0, because that's for format tracking, which is broken. And new cursor pause is the new cursor pause. I wonder if that works. That'd be fucking cool if it did. Would be cool. Whoa, 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 whoa. What's going on here? Why does it think this isn't used? Oh, it's just not mutable. Sorry, yeah. Old, this guy is not used. Okay, that's reasonable, I guess. We didn't actually need him. Old lines is used. Yeah, I think we're chilling. Park and run. What do you think the chances are this works? My guess is like 30%. But you can't really prove whether or not that's true or not because it will either work or not work. So I guess I will guess that it won't work. Well, I guess we also have to hook that code up again. So in the GUI, somewhere, set win size. Who calls this guy? Over here. Re-enable. And moment of truth. Moment of truth. Okay, wait. So if we go like ASDF. Oh, that's gonna fuck up the scroll back real good, real nice. Okay, but let's pretend we don't have long lines. Like, so, because bash is like reprinting every time. Okay. Also, it doesn't look like the height is changing. Am I high here? Oh no, it's the scroll back. Oh, the scroll back is still being rendered in the screen, even though it's not technically part of the visible buffer, which is maybe fine. That actually kind of like feels okay when I do this. And let's do like a git log. And okay, so the bright side here is look at how that fucking colon is sticking to the bottom like glue. Look at that. So that's like a really good indication that the new buffer system, it may not have, there could be bugs for sure, but at the very least, the bug we were seeing before is not happening anymore. Because that thing's really sticking. Womp, 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 womp. And then if I scroll down and up, that's looking pretty good. I'm not going to lie. That's working shockingly well. Like, shockingly well. The only problem is that the case where... okay, well, it's clear. The only problem is the case where I'm resizing with a long line. That's the only problem, because that gets kind of like leaked into the scroll back. But resizing without that case is fine, right? That's not like pushing stuff in the scroll back. So I'm kind of like maybe okay with that for now. That's like an okay shitty behavior. What are you looking for, bud? Is it under here somewhere? Yeah, that's manageable. That was, honestly, I was expecting more problems. Sick. Let's look at our tests and look at what we kind of had for tests here on the resize stuff before and kind of see... What did this guy do before? Ensure that on window size increase, text stays in the same spot relative to cursor position. This was problematic with our initial implementation. It's less of a problem after later improvements, blah, blah, blah. So here we simulate a resize by... because bash will notice the resize and try to insert the new cursor. Yeah, this might still work. I don't think this test is invalid. He doesn't like terminal buffer here, so here we're going to take in a terminal buffer 2. because we renamed him. And he is not working because we are inserting a metric fuck ton of spaces that we weren't before. And that's probably consistent with the behavior that we were seeing. Yeah, this is... Oh, right is what we expected, which is some amount of spaces and then a new line. And left is way more spaces, followed by content the new line. Okay, something about that is wrong, but I don't really want to think about it too hard. Because it feels like it's working. So, like, how do I say this? I'd rather trust my eyes here on resize than trust the old unit test, because I know that the old unit test was testing like a specific failure case that we're not kind of seeing here. So, I'm willing to kind of accept that this is working for now and off stream deal with the unit test stuff, because again, I think it's kind of boring. And overall, I'm pretty happy with this. Well, let's actually try doing something like ls-l. And so when I go up and down, that's feeling good, man. That's feeling good. That's reflowing well. Yeah, I don't know. It feels shockingly good. This guy's not reflowing here, but that's because there was there was an explicit new line on him at some point. Oh, because he's probably like... there's something about that's fucking odd. Like resizing, because of the way that the scrollback's leaking into the visible section. But overall, I'm okay with it. It's fine. I don't think there's anything in here that's like wrong enough that I care. Yeah. Alright. We'll call this done. We'll call it done. And now we need to fix this color tracking shit, which I think actually will be annoying. Okay, so what's wrong with the color tracking? The previous implementation was something along the lines of, we had a buffer of text. And if we had, you know, A, S, D, F in red, and then like 1, 2, 3, 4 in blue, what we did was we like saw like the start of the red, and we're like, cursor state is red now. And then we got characters blum, 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 and we saw like, ooh, cursor state is blue now. Okay. We put these characters into like that like 2D buffer or our like string in this case. So these guys get like kind of like pushed one by one. And they look exactly the way that they come in, right? They're just text like this. And what we did was we would say, hey, they pushed all of this text in like at once, right? They text in this like red section, or they push in that red section, this blue section. These would come in as like one slice. So what we would do is we would like push that data in, and then our buffer would say, hey, I just pushed a bunch of red shit. Or sorry, he would say, I just pushed data in the range in this buffer of like 0 to 4. And then on this one, he would say this was like 0 to, or 4 to 8, right? And then externally, we would like take those chunks, and we would be like, okay, what is our cursor state we say we are right now? So we'd be like, oh, this is red. And we would like just take this chunk in, and we'd be like, okay, 0 to 4, red. And then we get this stuff, and we'd say, okay, 4 to 8, blue. And we didn't have to do anything more than that, because like the way that the scroll back stuff worked is like this long array would just get like longer and longer, and all of these like buffer positions would like stay the same. And we would just have to handle like overwriting. Sometimes, right, if somebody came back and they wrote like, they crossed this out and they wrote like X, Y, Z, W in green, we would have to like, our API would say, hey, they replaced this text with this other text, and then we would like go back in and we'd like heal this marker. And so this like is not the same scheme that we're using anymore. But I think that we could make it work without too much code change, which probably is what I want to do. We could kind of do the same thing where we have like a 2D buffer now. And we could have our format tracker basically work in one-dimensional space like it was before. Just like, and we could be aware of the width. So we could do something like take this width and say that this is positions, like if the width is like 10, we would say like this is 0 to 10, this is 10, 20, and this is 20, 30. And then all we have to do is tell our format tracker, when we get to the end, what's going to happen is there's going to be like a line up here, and there's going to be like, other lines down here. And when we insert like our last line, a new line here, the whole buffer is going to like slide down. Maybe it makes more sense to do this. Bump, 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 bump. Bump, 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 bump. Right, this line is good. Like the top line is going to move into the scroll back, and all of these indexes are going to move down as well. Right, 0 to 10, which used to be at the beginning of the buffer, is now going to be at the new beginning of the buffer. And so I think really all we have to do is say we have like actions that are text inserted at these buffer positions, as well as text moved to these, like was moved out into like the new scroll back. And I think that's it. And so probably here we're going to want to do some sort of like evict range. We're going to say like, 0 to 20 got mapped into scroll back positions, 100 to 120. And I guess maybe even 100 to 120, it could end up being like 100 to 122 or something. Because there could be like new lines in the scroll back that weren't there in the visible section. Then there's going to be a section of like we wrote color. We wrote these indexes. And I think that those should always be contiguous. So I think we have inserted, or like written, and evicted. And the evicted, I guess, just means that like if eviction can only happen from the top. So I think that's it. Because before we had to deal with like in the case where somebody wrote in like something in here, they started saying like they wanted to put in like, in here, we had to handle the fact that resulted in like a move of everything here forward to the right. I don't think that case happens anymore because the visible buffer is like fixed size. Except for on resize. But on resize, I think we just wipe it and restart, like we did for our like buffer implementation. Seems reasonable to me. So maybe we say that we're gonna say like we have like multiple types of adjustments here, and I think we're just gonna say terminal. We're gonna like fold all of these into like one terminal buffer modification, and this guy is going to export those two things. So eviction, visible to scroll back, and he's going to be something like a range usize to range usize. And we're going to say like range of bytes in visible were removed and put into range in scrollback. And then the other thing that we have is a like written range. And we'll say this is where in the buffer we wrote color data to. No, it's not color data. Where in the buffer we wrote. And we'll maybe put a comment on here and say all indexes are assumed to be y times width plus x. There we go. Simple. Simple, simple, simple. We'll see if it works, but it feels simple for now. And so now when we go into our who is responsible for any of this? Okay, let's start with insert data. We won't handle any of the special stuff yet. Just, we wrote some text in here. And so this guy's now going to return a terminal buffer modification. And oh, he also has to, I guess, say the new cursor position, because he's the guy who knows. Where is the cursor after this modification? Okay. So this is a terminal buffer modification. Great. And we have written range, visible to scroll back. And I guess visible to scroll back is going to be some function of like the number of evicted lines. So we start them at 0. And here, every time we push, we just say num evicted lines plus equals 1. Okay. Yup. And so then visible to scroll back is going to be I guess we'll say scroll back end is equal to self scroll back lang. And so the visible scroll back, the end mapping is going to be something to scroll back end to the new scroll back end. Right? That's where all of the stuff we evicted went. And now it's just we need to figure out where it came from. And I think it's just 0 to the num evicted lines times self visible buff width. I think. And num evicted lines, we just make it a U size so that the types line up. There we go. And maybe we don't even have to specify U size. Maybe we'll figure it out now that I got that right. All right. And then the written range. The written range is just the start xy. So we'll say let mute write start is equal to y times self width plus x. So this is right start. And the right end is just where the cursor is. Right start. That's not true though, because the right start is going to be adjusted by things getting evicted to the scroll back. Right? If we have like ASDF 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we push in 9, 0, 1, 2, and like XYZ's W or something, right? This is going to start at position 4, 0, 1, 2, sorry, 0, 1, 2, 3. The insertion starts here. So it's going to start at line 3, 0. But then, when we delete this, because it goes into the scroll back, that line 3 becomes line 2. Which kind of means that, like, this written range... Written range... Sorry, that was stupid. He is going to be adjusted for the number of evicted lines. So how does this work on, like, format tracker side? He is going to have, like, 0 to 4 is red. And 4 to 6 is green or something, right? Then we come in and we say, okay, say we evict, maybe we'll say 4 to 8 here, and we'll say that like 8 to 12 is yellow or something, right? So if we have 2 evicted lines, we basically say, okay, positions 4 to 8, gonzo. And then we'll say, oh, okay, so we removed 8 bytes, and so everything here has to be subtracted by 8. And then our written range, we can do the written range in the old coordinate space. Does that make sense? No, because if we write a lot, what happens? If we write a lot, we have to like apply the coloring info to the scroll back directly, because it will have never gone through here, which is kind of interesting. So it's almost like there's like a visible written range as well as a scroll back written range. So this is like things that were moved from visible scroll back. There's maybe some stuff that was like written directly to the scroll back from the perspective like outside. There's stuff that we put it in and it goes immediately into scroll back. But maybe we don't have to model it that way, right? If here we say that we took the visible range, so say we have like 100 bytes in here and we write 1,000, right? We have like 100 bytes visible, 1,000 lines, or 1,000 bytes were written. What does that mean in terms of like how we want to represent that externally? You could say that the visible section of 0 to 900 was written to scroll back positions like A to B, right? Doesn't really matter where they go. And then we could say that the written range was 0 to 100. And I think that everything actually just kind of works out there, because the written range, this will all take like the new, like the coloring of the cursor right now. This will migrate stuff, and anything that wasn't previously, like that we can't move from the visible section, we'll just also apply coloring info that's like as of right now. So maybe we'll say range of bytes invisible were removed and put into this range and scroll back. Note that if more was written than can fit in the visible section, it will look like we moved more than is possible. And then where in the buffer we wrote after range adjustment, what are the indexes right now? And hopefully that should clear things up. There should probably be like maybe fix me, make, put an example. Because I think that like certainly in the future, it will not be clear to me when I come back what the fuck is going on here. But I think that's fair. I think that's fair. And so here, all we have to do is adjust the right start. So we'll just say that the right start is going to be subtracted. Yeah. So the right start is going to be subtracted by the number of evicted lines. But only if we can only subtract if the number of evicted lines is like smaller. So we'll say if num evicted lines times the width is greater than right start, we just say right start is 0. Otherwise, it's right start minus num evicted lines times self visible of width. So we can say maybe let num evicted bytes is equal to this. And so here we can say nom evicted bytes, and here we can use nom evicted bytes as well. Perfect, 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 perfect. And I guess we need to track the right end now. So say let right end is equal to self, it's going to be y, like where the y position is now, times self visible path width plus x. Cool. I wonder if that's right. I guess 5 at buffer mod. No, this is terminal emulator mod 545. It's complaining about something here, and we'll just write a little like fix me. And if you give me maybe 1 minute, I'm gonna go to the washroom and come right back. I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. So I think what makes sense now is we should fix our unit tests, because I think that like we're gonna be implementing like format tracker stuff based off of the output of this guy, and if it's like totally fucked, then it'll be pretty hard to diagnose the failures. And so let's just check. Did we break anything so bad that like the current tests don't compile by redoing that? No, because all of our tests were failing for all insertions on the responses, so I commented them all out, which is sick. Let's okay, so let's look at one of these functions must be testing data insertion, like kind of just as like a normal case. Test buffer, clear, overwrite. Like these are kind of these guys here are kind of testing these. But where is my like commented out responses? Maybe we weren't really testing that very well before. Or maybe I deleted the lines instead of commenting them out. But it's okay. Let's just kind of look at test canvas scrolling. Is this a good one to look at? So here we push some data, simulate a new line insertion, and then push some more data. And we do get, I don't know. Let's just kind of see what happens here. Or maybe we'll just write a fucking new one. I don't know. Test insertion responses. Sure. And we're gonna do something like, so we'll do test insertion response with like kind of no edge case, and then maybe we'll do another one that's like to test insertion response with too much data, right? So like more than we can like we can fit in the visible section in one shot. Yep. And then we'll do one that's like test insertion response some evicted. Okay. So our tests, these should all fail. Yep, 3 failures. Nice. So in this one, what are we gonna do? We're gonna like make a terminal buffer. Terminal buffer. Why is this my fucking selection so far down? Here we go. New. We'll make them like 5x5 or something, and we'll insert some data. Terminal buffer. Insert data. At maybe the beginning of time. All right, SDF. Right? And so here we're going to say response dot visible to scroll back. We're going to assert that this is maybe empty. Yeah, so we can say assert this is empty and that the second half is empty. Because nothing should have been pushed into the scroll back. Now what? We should see that the written range range should be like 0 to 4, right? Because we just pushed in the beginning of the buffer. And new cursor pause should be cursor pause for 0. And I want to do some more tests. So this is I want to test like an insertion at x3 y2 or something, right? Just to make sure that like it handles the right thing when we are moving. And maybe that's fine because we have tests for like the eviction stuff later. So if I cargo test now, does that pass? No, because he wants a B in front of the ASDF because it's a byte string, not a normal string. He wants cannot apply unary operator to type of ops range usize. Oh, because I'm an idiot. These should all be assert EQ. These should all be underscores, not minuses. Of course. Of course. And then missing tokens because these is empties are not EQs. I'm just not really paying attention to what I'm typing. And that passes now, which is good. I also want to get this cursor out of there so you can see what's going on. Okay. So let's do the same thing, but now we'll just we'll take the existing stuff and we'll put them at cursor pause like x2, x3, y2. And we'll like note no eviction should have happened here. Because no eviction should happen until we get to 5. So we'll just kind of do maybe the same thing where we insert ASDF. I think that's reasonable. These guys, visible scroll back should still be empty, but the written range should now be so the width is 5, so we're starting at 13, and we're ending at 4 bytes away from that, so 17. And the new cursor pause should be the y should have incremented by 1, so it should be at 3, and the x should be probably 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So I think x should be 2. I think. And it looks like that's still succeeding. So we're chilling. Okay, now let's do some tests with too much data. So here, let's write, we'll be clear with numbers so that we can see how many. So we're going to say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this should be totally full. And then we'll just put in another, like, ABCD or something. And so maybe we'll put in ABC, DE, ABC or something. Sure. So what we should see is that we got a visible to scroll back 0 to 10 should have gone into the scroll back as 0 to 10. Right? Because we had two lines that don't fit. I want to maybe fix me test with new line as well, because I want to make sure that those like buffer ranges get mapped appropriately. But yeah, 0 to 10 gets mapped to 0 to 10. And the written range should be just 0 to 25. And the new cursor position should be, what, like x is equal to 3, y is equal to 4 or something. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think that's right. Then we need an assert EQ here, not an assert. And we're close. So what happened here? He said that at 984, it was 0 to 10, 0 to 10 was what we wanted, and we got 0 to 25, 0 to 15. So that doesn't make any sense to me. Which kind of indicates that the left side of this is wrong, right? 0 to 25 was the whole range that we wrote, and only 15 bytes of that went into the scroll back. So what happened here? Num evicted bytes is the number of evicted lines times self-visible buff width. Oh, because it's counting the empty lines that we evicted. So we have to do like if num evict if the line is empty. If the line is empty, we don't count it, but we have to count it. Maybe this is just correct. Because if you had like something like okay, so what's happening is we start with this, right? Just fully empty lines. And we go in and we say, I would like a new line to write into, so I write ASDF in here, and like this empty line gets like evicted as we write ASDF. Kind of like this. And then if we were to put a new line, we'd say like 1, 2, 3, 4, and this line gets put down as well. And so it's like counting those, which is like maybe reasonable. And we're kind of saying, hey, those two empty lines, they got evicted into 0 width in the scroll back, which is fair. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's like reasonable. And so like the initial state there, the format tracker will say, hey, I don't have any valid data for that. And that's okay. That's okay. We are getting 3 lines in the scrollback though, which is maybe not right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I feel like let's maybe look at what the scrollback looks like right now, just to double check. So we can say the scrollback is self or terminal terminal buffer data scrollback. And can we get that as a string like this, maybe? All right. So our scroll back has 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1. My width is 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1? Shouldn't he be getting this whole line? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? Whoa, 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 what the fuck? Why is he evicting? It's related to these 3 bytes over here, probably. This is adding up to 5, but where is this coming from? Something's not right. Oh, I'm an idiot because we didn't insert the start of the fucking... We didn't insert at the start. Alright, does that all line up now? So now we have 2 lines in the scroll back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines over here. Left is 23, right is 25. At 991. Okay, so this visible scrollback thing is as we expected now. And the written range is to 23 because the last line wasn't full. New cursor position, is that right? New cursor position. Yeah, okay, everyone's happy. Everyone's happy. And then let's do the same thing. But I want to inject a new line somewhere just to see that the, maybe I put a new line after every line here. And here, and here. And so, like, now our visible scrollback, it's still kind of the same. It's 0 to 10 here, but this should go to 0 to 12 in the scrollback because the new lines are, like, part of the scrollback now. And we'll just say, scrollback has 2 extra bytes for 2 extra new lines. Yep. The written range is still the same, and the new crisp pause is still the same. Everything else should be the same. Boom. All right. That's a really good sign. And now we need to try an eviction. So we can do copy the first half of the first, we'll put some stuff in. And then we'll put in 4 more lines. So maybe we'll throw a new line here. And over here we'll say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. This should come at the where the cursor pause landed. So we'll insert this at response new cursor pause. Yep. Then we will insert some stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we insert 5 lines. That pushes this out. And so now we should see that the visible to scrollback section was bytes 0 to 5. No, 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 goes to 0 to 5 in the scrollback. And the written range is 0. Is this right? 0 to 25? We filled the whole fucking buffer. And the new cursor pause is like x0, y4, I think. It's at the very bottom left. I think. Not really sure. I feel like I would have been a lazy bastard and just recorded the style options with each character. Maybe I should have done that, yeah. Why didn't I? Because, like, the GUI framework way, like, converting from that into something that you can print in the GUI involves like you'd have to like find adjacent ones anyways. So we're just kind of like doing that work up front, which maybe is kind of wrong, but okay, so he didn't like this. 0 to 4 to 0 to 5. What is it? Because I put one extra line here. This is one line. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it seems fine. When we look at like the data.visible, let's see what's in here. Visible is this. Stood stir from UTF-8. And this guy needs to be an ampersand. Maybe we'll look at the scroll back as well. Let's take a little peek skis. So there's 2 lines in the scroll back. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Why do we... Oh, because when we push a new line at the very end, it moves the cursor over. It like allocates the new line immediately when it didn't used to in like the old scheme. So it's almost like we need to put this guy at 0, 1, 2, 3 so that he doesn't push that new line out. Okay, there we go. So this is what I wanted. I wanted to see ASDF new line in the scroll back, and then 5 lines of numbers over here. And he is now complaining here, saying visible of 0 to 4 goes to 0 to 5. And he's saying visible of 0 to 5 went to 0 to 5. Oh, probably because no matter what, we're evicting a whole line. So here we're actually saying 0 to 5 goes to like 0 to 3. Is that... Which is like also maybe fine and correct. He said left 24, right 25. Because we deleted a character off the end. Okay, chillin'. And the cursor pause is no longer 0, 4. It's 4, 4 because it's supposed to end up at the bottom right, not the bottom left. Chillin'. Okay, yeah, I think that's surprisingly fine. Like, nothing in there is like crazy wrong. And so now it's kind of interesting to maybe look at, we can go to the terminal mod here, and where we adjust, we say insert data, we get a response, and now we just have to say, hey, say fix me not complete, right? But we'll just push the range saying, where does this go? We push the cursor state to this some range, so response written range. Yeah. And then when we extract the format data for the buffer, we no longer have to like segment the scroll back and stuff. Right now we'll just ignore the scroll back side of things. And so we return like what? Terminal data. He's gonna have scroll back is empty for now. And visible is going to be like, we're gonna have to like go line by line in the data. So self terminal buffer. Because we have to convert the like the line positions to like character serialized positions, which like don't necessarily line up. So maybe here when we serialize the visible buffer, maybe we store the line, like the ranges that we are associated with this guy. So maybe here we say struct visible buff for serialize response. Yep. And he is going to have both the like data, which is just evacuate, As well as like line mappings. So we're gonna say like they go from a line ID to range. And we'll say line ID to range in data. And we actually don't do that because the lines are going to be contiguous, so we kind of just can do it like this. Okay. I'm just going to flag this as unimplemented for a second, and here, then we're going to go back to this like line serialization, or buffer serialization, and this is going to go to visible buffer serialized response. Great. And what are the items in this guy again? It's data and line mapping. So we'll call ret here data. And I think that that's the only... Yeah, there's no one called data in there before, so it's fine. Visible buffer serialized response is going to return a data, and line mappings for now will just make an empty one because we have to fix... I want to fix the external usage of this guy first. So data here is going to say visible is data, like this. Everyone's happy, so now we can go back here and extend this with what we need. So say let mute line mappings is equal to vec new at the beginning here, and on each line we're just gonna have to say what the fuck did we do, you know? So we'll say on each iteration we'll say that the last or line start is equal to 0 initially. Line start is now going to have to equal to data len at the end. And then we'll say line mappings push line start to data len. Easy. Simple, really. Shockingly so. Okay, and so now when we get the format tags for this thing, there's like some like bullshit here where we're serializing twice just to get format data. But maybe that's like a cost that we can eat, right? 2 times something close to 0 is still something close to 0. It's twice as far from 0, but if it's small and we don't care, we don't care. If you don't care, you don't care. And I've never said a truer statement in my life. Okay. So here we look at the terminal buffer. Oh, this guy also has to return something different for the visible section, eh? Because we need to extract that information one layer up, which is fucking annoying. Ugh. So this guy is gonna not return a terminal data, I guess. He's gonna return obstruct terminal. Ugh. I guess he will, and maybe the format data won't return that. Obstruct terminal data 2. It's just fix me god awful name. And he's gonna have scroll back, which is going to be a bucket of bytes. Which I guess actually could be a slice technically, but we'll leave him as a vector for now. Fix me slice question mark. Visible is serialized as vec u8, and we'll say format mappings is vec range usize, and maybe we can even say that like maybe indicative of bad abstraction, like maybe. And I don't know how to spell indicative. It's indicative. Indicative. And here we need ops range like this. Chillin'. So this guy will return terminal data 2. Perfect. And here his visible is going to be data. And maybe we say, what does this guy return again? This guy returns like visible buffer serialized response. And so this is going to say data and line mappings is equal to this. And visible is data and format whatever the fuck. Maybe we say line mappings is probably the correct naming at this abstraction layer. Because he technically, this guy doesn't know. He doesn't technically know that formatting exists. You know, he's just a buffer. He's a little buff boy. And what does he know? He doesn't know shit. This is terminal data do. And this guy returns terminal data here. We say let data is equal to this. And we do, our little type remapping here. So we say scroll back is data scroll back. And visible is data visible. And now we have what we need over here when we call self terminal buffer data. And so then we say, hey, format checker. Could we get the format tags right now, please? And I guess we iterate over line mapping in data line mappings. And how does this work? So each line is going to tell us where each line went. Okay. So we're going to say let line start pause is equal to self let width and height is equal to self get win size. And the line start in format text space is going to be width times the index here. Let line end is equal to line start plus width. And so now we have to like subtract everything in the format tags that are like less than that amount? No. Let output tags is going to be some vector of format tags. And we need to like extract those somehow. And so we could, I guess we iterate the format tags maybe makes more sense. For each format tag, we're going to push some amount of output tags. So that's going to be one set of iterations, which seems good. So for input tag in line tags. And these aren't line, yeah, these are, we'll call it input tags, I guess. And I guess all we have to do is say input tag dot start is going to get mapped. Yes. Okay, wait, hold on. So we'll have to say like let map input to output. Sorry. Let input, yeah, okay. Map input to output. And we're going to take in some input index. And what is he going to do? He's going to look at the line mappings. He's going to, what, loop through all of them and just find the one for index? No. We can jump directly. We can say, let line for index is equal to index times, index divided by width. And that gets floored, so that's fine. So data line mappings width. No, sorry, line for IDX. So this is going to be the line mapping. And then we can say let pause in line is IDX percent width. And so our index is just this mapping start plus pause in line. That seems pretty straightforward to me. That seems correct, maybe. Okay. And can we, like, move data in here to fix this, like... what does he not like? Type annotations needed. Cannot infer value. Cannot find value input tag. Okay. Map input to input tag start, and input end. I think we're getting close. Maybe. Maybe not. And... what type annotation is he failing? Oh, he doesn't know what we're trying to return. But he'll figure that out in a second. So start is equal to this, and let's go that. And we just say output tags push a format tag with start and end, and input tag whatever, like, what is he? I guess we say let output tag is equal to input tag clone, and then we heal the start and end. So output tag start is equal to start, and output tag end is equal to end, and we push the tag. Hell yeah, and he still doesn't like this? What is he bitching about? What type is he failing to infer? Line for IDX is usize. Start should be a usize. Pause in line should also be usize, right? Like, what doesn't he like? Hello? Data is a terminal data 2? Which has a line mapping? It's like, I don't understand what it's fucking failing at. Because line mapping is just a fucking vector. It's just a fucking vector. What are you fucking... God damn you, Rust. I guess we'll just have to debug by saying, like, let start is a usize equal to this. And then say start plus pause in line. Does it fucking understand that? No. Line for IDX is a usize. Does he understand that? Very strange. Oh, because he doesn't know what IDX is. Ah, maybe. So here, if I wrote IDX usize, do all the types like propagate correctly? They do. I see. Odd, but okay. I wonder if that's just like, if we just did it, you know? No. He's crashing here. Okay. Oh, because, if IDX is equal to usize max, we have like a sentinel value for like go to the end of time. And that's probably crashing us here. It could be something else, but I'm pretty sure that's it. No. Index out of bounds. Length is 0, but the index is 0 at line 718. Length is 0? Line mappings come from here. Come from here. Ah, because this only does lines that have content in them. So for y in last line with content to self height, we have to push mappings that are empty. Sure. I'm pretty sure that's right. But maybe not. I guess I'm not that sure. I just lied. Sorry, guys. I'm a fucking liar. Okay. So, no coloring info really showing up. And after I clear, this is just like fucked. Which is kind of odd. Echo test. Echo-E. Let's try to set some colors. Okay, wait, that's working. Uh, 33 test 2, and then clear colors. Seems like there's maybe some sort of like off by 1 error. Because setting yellow and then continuing to type is working, but setting yellow and then clearing it is not. Clear. And the first line is just like fucking missing, so let's think with this. Hold on. So let's just double check. If I return an empty vector here, does that undo the like breakages? Bisect the problem. Bisect the problem. And that does not. So there's a bug in retrieving the data here. How? What do we even fucking change? We push line mappings. Data, what the fuck is going on? What did we even change? What did we even change? So we moved serialization of the line in over here. So color. Let's see. Track moves. Okay. So this stuff changed a little bit. How? Mute data. So we had ret, width, and lines. Oh, so width and lines changed because they went from visible left to solid. Okay, so these are moved. Data's new. Line mappings is new, as expected. Line start, also new. Okay, but then we do, this is the same, data was renamed from ret. So this is the same, but then we have line mappings and that's new. This extension is the same. All of this feels the same. So let me, I don't really understand. Is there something with the format stuff that I'm not understanding that we made a mistake at? We could return what we did before and maybe... Well, before any of this, the format stuff would have just been empty. I think. What am I missing? Okay, maybe we can look at the GUI and see what the fuck is it trying to do, you know? So we can say, when you get the data, What the fuck are you doing? So maybe we start by saying, here is what we get. So we can say, canvas data from stood stir from UTF-8. And we look at the canvas data. Run. I have to ask, what is that div tool? All right, so before the days of streaming, I still had a massive case of not invented here syndrome. And it's spiff, a div tool for me. Spiff being the first 2 letters of my username, if being the last 3 letters of diff. And like, you know, it's because I like, it kind of pissed me off that there's nothing better. There was like no better review tool for what I was doing than just fucking looking at this diff in the terminal, because for some fucking reason, no diff tools implement color tracking like git diff does. And so like, you know, I want to like go like commit by commit, see things that are moved. And it's like, why does no diff tool show moves? So I wrote one that does, but it's not very good. It's like good enough. It's slow, but you know, fast enough that it doesn't ever matter. I should go back and implement like side by side diff at some point, but that seemed like effort. And then it comes with a git GUI, which is kind of fun as well. I can do it's like integrated as like a commit view inside this like tree, which is kind of fun. It's like the same widget, but just kind of like shown in here. Anyways, one of those things where it's like I had a thing for me. Oh god, add in the middle of fixation. Fuck. I'll explain again in 2 minutes. Poor guy. What were we doing before that? We'll come back to it. We were trying to see. Okay, so we launched the terminal emulator, who is here, and he's saying that he has the data that is supposed to print it, and he's just not fucking printing it. So what the fuck is going on there? We could see if it's maybe he's trying to like apply some format data, and that's it's bugging out, and so that's causing problems. So where is this guy used? Format data is used. Add terminal data to UI. And we'll just, wherever we try to apply this stuff, add terminal data to UI. Here we will just, can we just not push the section? Does that, like, what happens if I do that? So now nothing's rendered. Okay, so that's a good clue. So here we can say, let's just temporarily see what happens if I say job sections push, and the range is just going to be 0 to the length of the text. And if we do that, then it should come back and say, there, we have text again. Okay, so it's something related to like the fact that like the form, we are trying to like attach sections of data to this guy, and the ranges are probably just not containing the whole thing, which means that it's like probably related to the format tracker stuff, which means that it's probably, the bug is probably over here somewhere where we did that like format data mapping. It's got to be here. It's got to be. Crimson, thanks for the gifted sub. Appreciate it. No more ads for you. What a nice guy this guy is. Solving the ad problem. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. And the ads are over. Okay. Re-explaining what this thing is. Spiff. Spherophoria's diff. A diff tool for me. Specifically me. And no one else. But it's on the internet if you want it. It's because when I review code at work, which I mean, not that I work anymore, I'm on vacation, but you know, when I was doing code reviews, I would, pull my stuff down, and I would use like this like git log command that's basically saying like, can you color moves? and show me commits in order. It bothered me that, like, no diff tool I used showed that. So I wrote a diff tool. It's okay. It's kind of slow, but like for the vast majority of stuff, the slowness doesn't matter. And then it comes with a Git GUI called Spit, Spherophoria's Git, which I thought was like kind of more of a clever name because Spit is disgusting and a funny name to name. But it, the diff editor or the diff thing is like integrated in here. Same fucking widget. Pretty sick. I use it all the time when I'm like reviewing stuff. But yo, gamer, definitely gamer moment. Writing my own diff tool I don't know why, but saying gamer definitely feels like it applies there, and I don't really know why that is. Okay, so these output tags are probably not right. So what? Rust equals gamer moment also feels like weirdly true. So it would be nice to see, maybe we like look at this and we see what the fuck did we do in here. So print line. What are these output tags? What are they? Because they're clearly not right. And the output tags, we have start 2 and 4. Yes, there's just nothing from 0 to 2. So we've just made like a terrible mistake here. So when we do our line mapping, we have index. Well, actually, I guess we don't really know what our index is. So we're going to say we're going to do a line mapping here. And we're going to write down the index that we're trying to map. I don't know what the fuck just happened there, but looks like a wreck. Crack a run. Come on, buddy, you can do it. What is it waiting on? Probably Rust Analyzer in Vim was like holding a lock on the build. Okay, so here is mapping 0, 2, and 2, and then 2 is going to 4. So why is 0... Oh, 0 is getting mapped to 2, and 2 is getting mapped to 4. And so that's a mistake, somehow. So it looks like probably the line mappings are probably wrong. So what do our line mappings look like? What do those look like? I see. So every single line in our terminal is getting mapped to the range 2 to 2. So probably the last line shit is we made a mistake here. I think I know what it is. So when we get the data, we serialize the buffer, and we go over every line to the last line that has content in it at all. And then we say, okay, so for all of the lines that there, we say push data len, but we have to handle the last line with content specially. So this is line mappings push let last I guess we push one that's line start to data len. And now probably those line mappings all line up. Okay, so that's there, good. And if I say echo some shit with colors, they're not being colored, but is it because we disabled that code again? Output tags. These guys do have coloring info in here that go color default, default, bold, default, 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 default. Nothing in here is like changing color, which is a little concerning. Something in there should have changed color. So there's a bug related to that. What's the color theme? It's whatever my Alacrity color theme is, with the Sonic High theme applied in Vim without GUI colors. Which is an odd combo. But I think the Alacrity color scheme is probably just default. I don't remember ever changing it, but I might have. I'm not going to check right now. Okay, so why are all of my colors default? Print line. Why? So this would be coming from when I write data, insert data. Here, we are supposed to push a range with the cursor state and response written range. And so here can we say print line pushing this color to this location. And the color is going to be self cursor state color, which I think has to be 2-stringed. But I think that comes for free, so I don't have to do that. And then the range, I'm going to say response written range. Okay. Got any ideas for what's missing for Vim to work in Termi? Mostly, like, I don't really know, but I know that the bugs that we're working on to fix less are, like, a prereq for Vim. I haven't really tried Vim. Actually, maybe, oopsies. Well, now we're crashing because, you know, we're in a fucked up state. So, but I think that maybe not much after that, after we fix this, but I don't really know. We're gonna, what's next is definitely, we're gonna be looking at, I want to get to the point where Vim works in this guy. And then I want to get to the point where I can do like multiplexing, so I like tabs and splits and windows and stuff like that. And then I want to be able to like share sessions between SSH and GUI. So like a second front end that's either like a web UI or a like within terminal UI is like also on the list. But I don't know if I'm gonna want to take a break. If I get to the point where I can use it daily, then I might take a break and come back to it later because we've been going on this for like a month. And unfortunately, I think working, like, I've noticed that there's, like, more interest. I think, like, interest in a project just kind of falls over time. Because, like, you know, you see the thumbnail and you're like, like, either you're not interested or, like, you've seen enough of it that you kind of, like, got, like, whatever itch needs to get scratched is kind of done. So I might take a break and, like, flip onto a new project for a bit and then flip back or something. Not sure. We'll have to think about it. We'll have to think about it. So what was I testing here? I was testing if the color stuff is working. So I wanted to say, write some red test. But I have to write the letter M here. Okay, so that's working. And then if I clear after, that's not working. So we're still bugged here. I thought that I was supposed to be seeing pushing somewhere. So let's run this again and run that same thing. And here somewhere, where does it say pushing? I guess I have to like reset. How do I like clear my scroll back in here? Clear history, like this. Oops, and then there we go, and then cargo run. When milestones get smaller, it feels like interest drops. I could see that. That would make a lot of sense to me. And I think that there's probably a way to keep smaller, like keep the chunks of work set in a way where there's like an interesting milestone every day, even if you're still making slow progress, but it would just require like a little bit of more upfront planning. But I've just been a little too lazy to do that because, to be honest, I'm focusing on enjoying myself at this point in time more than really like stacking for viewership. Okay, so these push red, push default, that's working. So then someone else must be evicting them later. So here we see color, color. There's no red like immediately. So what the fuck is going on there? Pushing default 0 to 52, pushing red 50 to 56, pushing default 50 to 104, pushing default 104 to 106. Okay. So then I have line mappings of 0 to 27, 27, 32, 30, 35. Wait a second. Why are these numbers not lining up? That's probably related. So if I just like spam enter a bunch of times and then do it here, no, still no. So 52 to 56. That's interesting. Oh no, wait. That's fine because the line mappings hold on, that might make sense. Let's clear history again. How do I do this? I go clear history. Does Control I work in your term? Might. What does Control I do? Tab? Is Control I the same as tab? No. I don't know what Control I does. Or is that Control L? Ah, Control L is clear. Oh, that probably works. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Sure does. But I've just never pressed that button. Okay. So the format tags are getting in there, and I bet if we go into here and we say, could you please print line the input tag color, probably we will see that if we try to print some colors in there, we will see the colors in that output. So if I say echo test, blah, 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 default. No. Oh, yeah, okay. Because I forgot. We already checked this. We listed all the format tags. They're all default. So someone's overwriting him. Interesting. Format tracker tags comes from color info clone. Okay. Oh, maybe some of this other format tracker stuff is still getting called. That's probably likely. So we can go into terminal emulator mod. And we can look for format tracker. And we should just delete, like, any fucking usage of this guy is probably invalid at this point. So, yoinkies. Clear all is fine. We can do that one. Delete range, go away. Format tracker stuff, go away. Go away. Go away. Okay. Hopefully that will give us something that looks a little bit more sane. Still no. Okay. Default. Okay, what's interesting here is that we do see the sections that are relevant, right? We have 0 to 27, then 27 to 32. So this is like a 5-byte sequence from position 27 to 32. Who is this being printed by? I need to look again. Format tags? Is that what we called it? Format data here. So we are printing the output tags here. And maybe we should print the input tags as well. And maybe that's a clue. Maybe. Okay, so the input tag, there's only 2 sections in here. Oh, because there's nothing, I haven't printed anything yet, of course. Okay, input tags, we have 0 to 111, default, 11 to 222, 223, blah, blah, blah. 333, 34, 35 is... Like, do any of these look like they should match? No. What the fuck? Self format tracker. So that push range should be the only place where this guy's touched. So it must be that here we're pushing something. So I feel like we already had this log, but I must have removed it. So pushing this color to this range. And we can look at the color and the response written range. Okay. And what happens when I do that echo test thing? Okay. Pushing. So we push red from line 111, like buffer position 111 to 115. Oh, and we immediately push default from 111 to 222. Why? So that must have to do with like the eviction stuff. So we'll probably just have to handle that. We have to say push range adjustment Yes. So probably it's that the response dot visible to scroll back. This is probably getting triggered in some way immediately, and we have to push that. So what does this push range adjustment do? Moves all tags such that range start to range start plus range limit. All tags greater than this to this. Okay, so we have to do something like... Wait, is there... What else do we have? We have delete range. Maybe delete range makes more sense here. So anything that was visible and now is not, we just delete it. And I think that's probably fine. And then I have to double check. Written range was supposed to be where the indexes are right now. Perfect, okay. So there's something to do with like the circular buffer eviction causing problems here. Still no, eh? Default, okay, so print line. This is going to be cursor state. Cursor state and something. Oh, is it because we push a fucking new line at after the carriage return? Oh, fuck me. Hold on. Fuck me. Hold on. Let's go. I think it's because what happens is we go, some stuff. Then we say carriage return, which puts the cursor to here. And then we say append a new line at the end, right? And then when we get this like insert data, the right start is flagged as where the cursor was. But that's not true if the first thing we do is we fucking write a new line. God damn it. Okay. So can we just say that while, fuck me. So maybe we say right start is none. And then we say in here. Oh, that's so fucking annoying. That's so annoying. We can dodge... Okay, we're just going to dodge this one failure case, like, right now. And we're going to say, if data starts with a new line, right start is going to equal y plus 1 times this thing. Otherwise, what we did before, just to check. And we'll say, fix me, absolute hack. He doesn't like that because starts with does not. He needs to be a byte string. This guy needs a little thing like this. And these guys have semicolons when they shouldn't, so we'll delete those. And let's try again. Echo. Oh, that's so close. Yeah, okay. So there's something about new line and cursor position that has to be handled specially. So we might have to like bring back special handling of new lines, which is fucking annoying. Fucking annoying. Okay. So I'm gonna have to think about that because I don't really have like an immediate thing that I want to do there. But we are at the 2.5 hour mark, which is a little bit longer than I wanted to stream for. So I think we're going to call it there. I think that we made a lot of good progress today, right? We got color tracking is like almost completely there, right? There's just like a little bit that's a little bit off there. But overall, it seems like it's probably working. Resize is working, and like the snapshotting stuff is implemented. So I think that was like a pretty good progress. Good progress, yeah. If you like what you saw, I stream most days at around 1 or 2 o'clock Pacific time for 1 or 2 hours. Today we were a little long on the 2.5 hour end, but we try to keep it under 2. There's YouTube VODs that go up for each stream. There's a YouTube link in the Twitch description, and then there's a GitHub link there as well, where like code for this stuff eventually ends up. Often there's like whip branches that stuff gets pushed to and then get like overwritten, but the master branch is usually pretty sane. And if you're watching on YouTube, you should swing by. There's a Twitch link in the YouTube description. Swing by, say hi. And that's it. I think that's all. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one. Bye.